All right, boys and girls. Assalamu alaikum. How being a simp daddy ruins society. All right. When I was a kid, when I was growing up, I didn't have too much experience dealing with the opposite sex. All right. That changed later on in life. But when I was a kid, well into middle school, high school, I was very much into the romanticizes. Like I was romanticizing a lot of aspects of what a relationship really is. You know what I mean? Between you and a woman. And from that stemmed a lot of insecurities, uh, a lot of wants and needs that I feel were not being met, and could never really be met because they were a little bit out of control, right? On that, or just not reasonable. Okay. So background on me, my mom died when I was a kid, and that really, and I had an abusive stepmother. So mom died when I was a kid, abusive stepmother. Grandma was around, but she was real good with me. She raised me like her own child. And that was probably the only aspect I ever got of positive femininity, right? But well, like into man, kindergarten, first grade, I had my first crush, and dude, I was just a mess, dude. I mean, the way that I would approach wanting a relationship would be so incredibly insane. Like I sit back and I think back on my life, like what was I thinking, right? So with that came simp tendencies, right? Like, dude, let me tell you something. A lot of the girls I liked may have seen something in me, may have seen me as a nice guy, right? But for sure, every time, because I was overweight as a kid, and I had got into a contact sport, football, which was helping, but I had to get out of it because the abusive household was told that if and I continued to wanted to play football, I'd get kicked out of my house. And I've been kicked in and out of my house so many times. But either way, that's not about that. It's about simping. So I, but these things kind of led me to being a simp. So what it was is that I would almost, in a sense, like kind of beg the girl to want to be with me. You know what I mean? All the way up until my first marriage. Like even that was it ended in a divorce, and I'm glad it did because that was my first heartbreak, and I needed that. It was really my second heartbreak, my first real relationship slash heartbreak. So it got the reality check that I needed. I was 21, 22 when that happened. So being a simp, man, like I approached life from such a immature, childish point of view that I ended up really destroying a lot of my relationships, right? Whereas if I would have just been more masculine and comfortable in my own manhood, I would not have, probably that would not have happened, right? Um, Also, pornography and masturbation really ruined a lot of things for me, and I'm sure for a lot of young men like me. Um, Hold on, I'm gonna take this over here. I gotta get this rice. Cooking up this rice. Make sure this rice doesn't freaking go bad on me. But basically, being a simp, dude, it makes you. It destroys society because what happens is that the women look at the men like they're weaker than them, and if you're weaker than a woman, dude, and what I mean by weaker than a woman, not just necessarily physically, but mentally, right? Because women are looking for strong men, strong mentally that can lead the pack, that can bring about change, that can bring about positive reinforcement for the children, that can be, you know, uh, just overall positive role models. And you can't be a positive role model if you're not comfortable in your own masculinity, right? If you're begging people to want to be a part of your life, if you're just acting like a jackass around women, you know what I mean? That also can be, I mean, everybody gets nervous and whatnot, but even that shit has to end too. at some point you got to be like, look, there's nothing to be nervous about. A woman is a human being just like you, bro. You know what I mean? And she has wants and needs, and she has her point of view and on life, and how she views the world may not be exactly how men view the world, but I mean, you know, they have their own sense of direction and whatnot. So when you simp out, dude, you do a huge disservice to society around you, because now the women start to clown the men, right? When the women start to clown the men go into a deep, you know, they get, you know, because that simping will lead you to depression, bro. That simping will lead you to suicidal thoughts. That simping will eventually down the line will kill your drive. You're going to be, because you're just convince yourself that you're not good enough for women. You start jacking off and shit like that, or possibly even start paying for sex. I mean, you know, the way this shit can go wrong is just so great that you have to cut the head off the snake, right? So you can do this. You can not help destroy freaking society, because let me tell you something. Like, a lot of these OnlyFans girls, like a lot of these porn stars, they make their money off of simping, off of what in the streets, what we call it is tricking. You know what I'm saying? Well, simping and tricking. So if you pay for pussy, bro, or you pay for Pornhub or OnlyFans or whatever, you're really tricking. You're pulling a trick on yourself, and the girl is pulling a trick on you. So you're a trick. You know what I'm saying? So lowest of the low in society, dude. You don't want to be a fucking trick. So don't be simping and tricking. And I don't think I need to go into further detail on what exactly a simp is. I think by this point we all know what the fuck a simp is. But you gotta let those nuts hang, man. And you gotta be able to tell people, like, no. No is a complete sentence. I know you've heard this before. No is a complete sentence, right? Drawing boundaries, there's nothing wrong with that. If people walk away from you, then that's fine, dude. Because a lot of simps exist, a lot of women think that the majority of men are simps, and that might possibly be true, you know. So, and women have a habit of pushing that line with men, anyways, just to see, like, testing your boundaries, to see how far they can push you. Because again, they want to make sure that they're secure with you, that they're safe with you, that you can be who you say you are, and you're not gonna drop the ball when it comes to real serious things, like many men I've seen do, where they completely turn bitch, dude, and they turn into weak men. They lose sight of their health, a lot side of their that's my cat. See, that's a female cat right there going off. She come on, girl. You know, that end up, like, by the time they're 40, even like not even 40, like 30s or 40s, they end up being like sick. You know what I mean? It's physically sick, can't concentrate, can't focus, give up on life. You know what I mean? Start saying weird shit to get attention, like, I'm gonna die soon or whatever. Dude, I've seen this happen. You know what I mean? And God, like, really saved me, because I didn't turn into a complete fucking bitch like that, but I definitely got cases of bitchitis, you know what I mean, in my early childhood. Like, I'm gonna be open with you because I want you to be successful. And like I said in one of my other videos, there's probably like 0.5% of men that grew up, you know, with all the right fucking, I mean, probably more than that, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just rare and rare to find men that are so secure in their manhood that actually go on to be positive role models for society. I'm not talking about douchebags and narcissists. I'm talking about positive role models for society, right? And that comes from your father, and that comes from a strong father. And unfortunately, a lot of us don't have that, because maybe our fathers grew up without a father, or you know, we grew up without a father, whatever have you. But we got to break the cycle, man. And so simping destroys society, because what you turn into is a weak-ass bitch, and a weak-ass bitch can't lead from the front. A weak-ass bitch won't go into war and defend his home and his honor, right? A weak-ass bitch, a weak-ass, simp-ass, tricking-ass motherfucker ain't gonna raise no positive family. He's gonna let his girls do whatever they want, and he's gonna let his dudes turn into him. Just weak and flabby and, you know, high body fat or real super skinny. And why is that an issue? That's an issue, bro, because we're men, dude. We are men. We are called to action. And if we cannot answer that call, I mean, the evil is gonna always find a way to be successful, dude. You know what I mean? And so this is like an even deeper situation. Like not just about, oh, I can't, like I don't have a good time with the ladies. Like, dude, this goes way, 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 way deeper than that. You know what I mean? You simping causes society to crumble. You know, and that's why I'm a big advocate of getting yourself into a combat sport, getting beat the fuck up, because you got to get beat the fuck up, bro. I'm sorry, dude. You can't avoid it. I'm not talking about, I mean, sure, BJJ, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I've done it myself. And it's hard. It's not easy. But I'll tell you what, unless somebody's about to break your fucking hand or your arm or your leg or something, crack your neck open, for sure, every time in boxing, you're going to get hit. And every time you get hit, it's gonna open more and more. You're gonna reveal yourself to yourself more, right? So I know this is kind of a little all over the place. I'm cooking dinner and I'm trying to talk to y'all at the same time, but you got to stop simping, dude. You got to stop simping, because you're gonna end up causing so many problems that are already compounded in society. You're not gonna be able to do shit with your life. I mean, even if you just don't plan on having your own business, whatever, you just plan on working for somebody. I mean, what about that next promotion, man? What about that next? If you're scared to talk, if you're scared to stand up for yourself, you ain't gonna get nothing, man. You're not gonna get nothing. Nothing is gonna come to you, because you're gonna be too scared to get out there and reach for it. At what point do we draw the line, man? Like, I'm not saying being an asshole, but having some semblance of assholeness to you is a good thing. Being somewhat of an asshole is really a good thing. For, like I'm saying, we're men, dude. We don't. So many of y'all are punks, dude. Like, you get punked by everybody. I've been there. When I was a kid, when I was in middle school, high school, I've been there. Excuse me. I've been there. You can't do that to yourself, dude. You owe that, because when you come home and it's just you by yourself, you feel that, you know, you feel that pain inside, and I get it, dude. Like, but you're gonna have to kill that part of you, man. You're gonna have to kill that bitch inside you, because simping is destroying everything right now, man. This simping is probably part of the reason why our communities, our families are being broken down, because the men are not stepping up. The men are not stepping up. Our societies are being broken down because the men are not stepping up. And let me tell you something. Wherever good men are not able to do anything, evil will always take over, because that's just how, whatever you want to call it, yin or yang or whatever that's just how nature and things work, right? That's how God intended it to be. So when good men stand up, become strong good men, become strong, positive role models for their societies, for their families, then your children will grow up to see. And then look, the last thing you want is for your child to grow up and look at somebody else as a role model. You know what I mean? And your wife probably banging other guys and stuff. Like, dude, I can't begin to tell you how many women cheat on their men, but they cheat on their men because the men are not, they're not there, dude. They're not there. They're not there mentally. They're not there physically. Their libido is low. They can't fuck. You know what I mean? They don't work out. They have no endurance. They nut in 3 seconds. Like, what? A woman has rights too, man. A woman has a right to feel loved. Hey. A woman has right to feel loved and secure in herself and secure in her relationship. And women love sex, dude. Probably more than men do. I'm gonna tell you something. Well, Umar, one of the caliphs, one of the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and may Allah be pleased with Umar, because he was a great man. He was a strong man. He definitely had a temper. He was a caliph. He was a khalifa at that time. He was like the second or third khalifa. Third, I believe it was. Yeah, it was the third khalifa. Or maybe it was the second. Sorry. But either way, he was out roaming through the streets like he used to with people, just trying to check up on his society, you know, try to check up on his community, because he was the Amir, he was the if you will call it, like the king of the empire at that time. And he came across a woman that was reciting some poem. She was saying, like, if basically part of it was, if I did not fear God, my bed would be shaking right now. What that means is that she didn't have that God fearing inside her, she'd be knocking boots. You know what I mean? She'd be getting it in because her husband wasn't there. I guess something like that. Maybe she wasn't married yet or something. So he went up to her through the window and asked her, "Hey, I heard you reciting this poem. Like how often do you need it? How often do women need sex?" She said, at least every 3 months. Like once every 3 months, at least once every 3 months, right? Before they fall into other things, right? So because of that conversation with that woman, he made it to where the troops that were stationed outside of that place had to come back every 3 months to be with their families so that their wives uh, would not be pushed towards committing adultery and therefore destroying the household, right? And themselves in the process. And God forbid their children have to see something like that, right? So, guys, quit simping. It's not good for your health. What are you gonna do, man? You know what I mean? Like, you can't just be out here living like that. You can't just be out here freaking walking around like it's okay to not to be scared. You know what I mean? Like, men are not supposed to be scared. And if we are scared, we sure as hell ain't gonna show it to nobody. Because again, that's not our job. Our job is to be leaders, protectors, defenders, providers, and to please our wives or significant others if you're not into marriage. Which I don't know why you wouldn't be, but you probably don't. Let me not do that. Let me not get into that. Just, be the best you can be, bro. Be the best you can be. Let me get back to cooking this dinner, man. God bless y'all. Salam alaikum.